In the second part of the video, we will discuss who are the cyber terrorists, what is the magnetism of cyber terrorism, and third one is the forms of cyber terrorism. The main question arises whether these cyber terrorist activities or organizations are the same as the traditional organizations of terrorists, or these are the new terrorism organizations in the world. And we have found that the existing cyber terrorist organizations, they have changed the methods of cyber attacks, and the existing cyber terrorist groups have converted themselves with the new weapons which is known as internet technology or the cyberspace. Now, the four kinds of or four categories of cyber terrorists are: one is criminal gangs, hacktivists, self-sponsored groups, and the fourth one, dissatisfied insiders. Criminal gangs, historically, clearly we can we know that criminal gangs keep tracking the records of financial status of big industries and firms and financial sector in a bid to steal the customer's fund. And increasingly, interestingly, now this has been increased because of the world side, the internet banking, internet facilities, and all the bank accounts are attached with the internet facilities. So, it is easy for the cyber criminal or cyber terrorist to attack on the financial activities or to commit fraud or to steal the money from their accounts easily. Second is hacktivists. Recent trend on the internet and attack shows that politically motivated hacktivists now, for the hacktivist, disruption of online services and exchange become the fair game. Third one, state sponsored groups. State sponsored groups are simply you can understand, while China is attacking on Indian websites and Indian websites are hacked or attacked by the Pakistani hackers, all these are state sponsored groups which affect the nation integrity, security, or the probe into or they enter into the security walls of the government. Fourth one, dissatisfied insider. This is another category of cyber terrorist. The downsizing of financial sector can leave former employee with an axe to grind, but for the market infrastructure provide, it can have dramatic consequences. Like Bonner said, when exchange staff leaves, they takes knowledge of risk and control with them as well as the potential software codes. Now, what are the factors which attract the cyber terrorist in this activity or cyber terrorism act? There are the factors, or you can say the 7 factors I have identified for the purpose of magnetism of cyber terrorism, or why the cyber terrorism is more attractive than the traditional form of the terrorist activities. One is lower risk, second is less dramatic, third one is cheaper, fourth one anonymous, fifth one is enormous target, and sixth one is remotely conducted, and seventh one more effective. Now, explain one by one. Lower risk because there is no boundary as such in the cyber world. Terrorist group can explore the cyber attack and lower the risk of detection of their operation. The agencies or the government agencies, they are not able to catch them or not even able to identify who are the cyber attackers in a particular cyber attack. Second is less dramatic. However, the security observers believe that terrorist organization might be reluctant to launch a cyber attack because it would result into less immediate drama and have a lower psychological impact than a more conventional act of destruction such as bombing. The observer believes that unless cyber attack can be met, result in actual physical damage or bloodshed, it will never be considered as serious as nuclear or chemical terrorist act. The third one is a cheaper one. Cheaper in the sense, if we compare with the traditional terrorist attacks or methods, it is cheaper one. What the needs, simply two things are required for conducting cyber attacks. One is a system, a computer system, and second one is internet access. Fourth one, anonymous. Cyber terrorism is more anonymous than the traditional terrorist methods. Like many internet surfers, terrorists use online nickname like of screen name, logon of a website as an unidentified guest user, making it very hard for security agencies and policies forces to track down the terrorist real identity. And in the cyberspace, there are no physical barriers such as checkpoints or navigate, no border to cross, no customs agents to outsmart. Fifth one is enormous targets. Enormous targets are simply variety in number of targets are enormous one. The cyber terrorists could target the computers and computer networks of the government, individual, public utilities, private airlines, and so forth. The sheer number and complexity of potential target guarantees that terrorists can find weaknesses and vulnerability to exploit. And sixth one, remotely conducted. Remotely conducted, that cyber terrorism can be conducted remotely, a feature that is especially appealing to the cyber terrorist. Cyber terrorism requires less physical training, psychological investment, and the risk of mortality. At the same, there is no need to travel from one place to other place as conventional forms of terrorism took place. So, it is making it easier for the terrorist organization to recruit and retain the followers or terrorists. Seventh one, more effective. It has been proved that I love you virus, that the cyber terrorism has potential to affect directly the large number of people than traditional terrorist methods, thereby generating greater media coverage, which is ultimately what the terrorist wants they can do. The worm, first discovered in Hong Kong, arrived in email box on 4th May 2000. Now, the second part of this video is what are the forms of cyber terrorism. There are 6 forms of cyber terrorism. One is cyber terrorism is the forerunner of warfare. In the era of information and communication technology, one nation caused terrorist violence by using the new technology and against nation or nations. These are not the conventional way of war, rather cyber war, net war between two or more nations which are very much unpredictable. For example, net war between Israel and Pakistan, India and Pakistan, and China and USA. Second one, international cyber terrorist attack. When international organizations of terrorists link or communicate between them through the internet and attack by nation, it is called an international cyber terrorist attack. For example, 11 September 2001. Attacks on World Trade Center and Pentagon. Immediately after 13 December 2001 attack on Indian Parliament. Third factor or the third form of cyber terrorism is use of computer system and internet facility. Use of computer system and internet facility by terrorist group to develop own website and network to send messages to each other worldwide and effective modes of cyber terrorism. Fourth one, cyber terrorists use encryption program and digital signature. Cyber terrorists are terrorists. Cyber terrorists use encryption program and digital signature to coordinate themselves using email service which cannot be read by anyone, even the national security agencies. Through their supercomputing system failed to crack the terrorist group's code. USA is fighting against the attack since 1990s. Fifth one, terrorists now using information and communication technology, including state satellite transmission. Now, terrorists use ICT, including satellite transmission, cell phones, wireless, etc., to communicate with each other and organize terrorist attack. Sixth one, flying worms, virus, or Trojan horse. Flying worms, virus, Trojan horse, etc., are used to collapse the government department such as defense, intelligence, commerce, academics, health. Access to global electronic networks and information is one of the way which facilitate cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism, whether it is a reality or not. Cyber terrorism has emerged as a new terror in the world In the past 10 years, information security systems received more sophisticated growth, but the same happened with the hackers too. Terrorist groups have been using the internet for propagandizing, recruiting, and collecting intelligence and communication. At the same, the network of computer mediated communication is ideal for terrorists as communications, and it is decentralized. It is more difficult to subject it to control or restriction, and it allows access to anyone who wishes to use it. It is also that cyber world can be used in various ways. For example, not only as indirect tool for executing attack, but also as a direct weapon. Now, these are certain examples where cyber terrorism, we can say it is a reality right now. Cyber attacks on website are one of the way used weapon as cyberspace, like of 9/11 attack on America, 2007 cyber attack on Estonia, India-Pakistan dispute over the Kashmir, Indian Parliament attack in 2001, Israel-Palestine conflict, and NATO website hacked during the crisis of Kosovo. All these are the simple examples where we can say that cyber terrorism is a reality of today. So, in this video we have discussed three main points, that is of who are cyber terrorists. Second is what are the mechanism of cyber terrorism, and third one is what are the forms of cyber terrorism.